Well, I think it's like everything. You know, when you grow up as just on the level of a human being,
Yeah.
you have experiences and you learn from them. Well, if you've got any sense, you do.
Hmm.
So that process happens anyway. The question is this a choice? Has everyone chosen to experience this? I don't think that's necessarily the case, because has a fly chosen to get caught on the fly trap,
Yeah.
right?
Point.
And in many ways, what humanity is in is a fly trap, and it's a fly trap that's based on actually a simulated reality, which is what this is. So the story is much bigger than it even at first appears to the alternative media. But everything is an experience, and thus everything is a potential road to greater wisdom. And on that whole point, you can look at this control system and you could say it's a small number of people controlling a large number of people, which it is. But it's also a massive lesson, if you like, collectively. This is what happens when you give your power away. When you give your power away to other people, when you say, for instance, what are they going to do about it, instead of what am I going to do about it, those people will take that power and they'll recycle it back against you, which is how it works. You know, there's 7.7 billion people in the world currently, apparently. Don't know who counts them, but anyway, 7.7 billion.
Google counts them.
Google counts them, yeah. And the number of people that are ultimately driving this control system and driving the direction of the world is little more than a handful right at the core. And that can only happen because the vast majority of the 7.7 billion have given their power away to someone else. And one way of giving your power away is not to check anything out. To listen to the news or listen to a politician, or more to the point, listen to the politician you prefer. I'm not listening to that one. I don't like them. They're the Tories. I'll listen to this one, Jeremy Corbyn. He knows. Whatever. By just taking that without question, you're giving your power away. You're giving your power away to form your own unique conclusions. Because of the postage stamp consensus, the amount of information, available information, that people receive through mainstream sources is tiny. It's pathetically tiny. You look at any news bulletin any day, they're talking about the same things in the same way. Every day. Look at the subjects that they cover.
Yeah.
Or now look at the range of subjects in the world that they don't cover, which is almost everything. It's very focused. And if we leave it there and don't check out do our own research, come to our own conclusions, then that which controls the information we receive and believe dictates our lives, and it does for the vast numbers of people. You know, something. The Nazis were very, very significant in their understanding of perception manipulation. And if you read the quotes and the work of people like Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, you can see the techniques that are being used upon us now. It's very well worth reading. And one of their basic themes is, first of all, the bigger the lie, the more they will believe it, brackets, human-caused climate change. But another thing is, keep repeating the lie and it becomes accepted truth. Because if people keep hearing the same thing, they kind of take on it must be true because that's all they're hearing. But if you're getting it from the mainstream and the people around you who are repeating it, everybody knows that, everyone's saying the same, get it from the same source. Well, that means whatever controls that same source is downloading the perceptions of everybody. And because they're downloaded perceptions of everybody, as people interact with everybody, they come to the conclusion that this must be true because everybody's saying it.
Yeah.
Everybody believes it. And I'm a bit like the kid in the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, where people are accepting that the Emperor's got clothes on. A lot of the time, because they don't really want to face the fact that the Emperor is naked. What does that mean to their lives? And I'm like the kid saying, actually, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's got no bloody clothes on. Look at him. What are you doing? Yeah. What do you mean? And you can be unpopular when you do that, but we're in a situation now where you're increasingly really unpopular with the system, which is a good thing, really. It confirms you're on the right track. But more and more people want to hear this stuff. They want to hear people and situations being called out for what they are, instead of being intimidated into silence and conformity by the tyranny that's going on all around us. Because there is an agenda, it's multiple faceted, and it's designed to transform human society. We're seeing it, it's happening, and it's nowhere near where it's meant to go. Now, many of the things that are in this agenda that we have to believe for this agenda to unfold and happen are so insanely ludicrous, are so ridiculous, are so stupid, that if you had open debate, they'd lose the argument.
Yeah, definitely.
For instance, I want to win an argument and thus have my will imposed on society that says men and women are not biologically different, okay? Well, try winning that argument in an open debate where all the facts are available to be shared. You can't, because it's mad. So what do? You don't have the debate. How do you not have the debate?
Silence it.
Silence it by hurling abuse at anyone who is saying anything different to what you want people believe, i.e. men and women are not biologically different. It's insane. And we've reached the point now where this censorship has got to the point where you've got professors of biology losing their jobs for saying that men and women are biologically different. It's insane. And you can... It's the same with this whole anti-Semitic industry, this protection racket for Israel, where you can't say anything against Israel or you're an anti-Semite. This is nothing more than shutting down the debate. Because Israel's treatment of Palestinians is so grotesque, and when I say Israel, I mean the Israeli government, the Israeli military, the extremists, the ultra-Zionists as I call them, is so outrageous they can't win the debate. Mm-hmm. Because of that, they don't have one.
Yeah, they shut it down.
If you say anything critical in any way of the far-right, psychopathic Israeli government, I'm undecided on this, by the way, then you're an anti-Semite. And so if I call out the Sicilian mafia, I'm anti every Italian, am I? It's madness, but of course it's madness, but there's method in the madness because it's shutting down the debate.
Yeah, shutting down conversation.
Human caused global warming. Human caused climate change. Now, if you're confident of what you're saying is true, you want open debate, because then you've got the ability to show that what you're saying is true and what others are saying is not true. When you think you can't win the debate, if the whole range of information was put on the table, then you shut down the debate. And that's why now we're having, you're a climate change denier. Well, actually, I'm not, because the climate does change. The question is, why is it changing? And I was reading a very interesting book this week by an American meteorologist called Joe Bastardi, who has got so frustrated by hearing about weather events being blamed on climate change and human activity when he knows they're just secular. And he goes in this book, he says, well, this happened, say, last year or 2 years ago or whatever, and this is what they said. This is human-caused climate change. We're all gonna die. And then he goes back to the 1950s or the 1930s or the 1920s, and he shows the sequence of events that led to that. Because whether the Atlantic was warmer than the Pacific, whether the Pacific was warmer than the Atlantic, dictates a sequence of events that leads to a weather outcome. And it's a completely repeating cycle.
Yeah.
And but what happens, of course, is these people like Bastardi and his like, they are marginalized. Like the BBC decided some years ago now that the scientific argument was won, it hasn't even started, and thus they weren't going to have people on that were putting the other side of the story.
Yeah.
What are they doing? They're shutting down the debate.